All right. As others continue to come on today, we'll go ahead and get started. I do have 2 o'clock. I want to welcome you to Hiscall's webinar today with Biamp. We appreciate you joining today. We know your time is valuable, so we're grateful that you've chosen to spend some of your day with us today. I'm Chuck Colwell, Solutions Architect with Hiscall. I will know some of you and support the sales team and also the services team with technical things as it relates to the solutions we represent. Also hosting today with me is Jason Callahan. He is with Biamp, who is one of our valued partners and a leader in professional audio and video solutions. Their audio-visual solutions enable great communications. You will see there on the screen our email addresses. If something should come up later and you have a question about something, please feel free to send us an email and we'll get back to you with questions, with your answers to your questions. So also you will probably see some familiar faces on here. Our Hiscall account team, along with some other staff, are joining us as well. So feel free to engage with your account consultant as you see them, or staff members that you see on here, technical people that you've been involved with. We want today to be a good use of your time, and our goal is to make this informative for you. So I guess the first thing to say, in appreciation for your joining today, you will receive a special gift box sponsored by Biamp that will arrive in the next few days. You'll also have opportunities to win giveaways at the end of our webinar. We do want today to be interactive. However, we also want to be considerate of everyone attending with us today. So what we would ask is that you mute your own microphones. I'm not just going to, I could mute all, but I just give you the control of your own microphones. Is kind of the way I would prefer to do it. So we want to encourage chat for engagement. So right here on the Microsoft Teams, the chat function located on my screen, in my view, in the top right of my screen, it says chat, little conversation cloud. You can access the chat there. We'd encourage you to post your questions or interact with your Hiscall account team using the chat function. So let's give that a try. Let me say Stephen King. If you are familiar with Stephen King, maybe you're a fan. If so, type in your favorite Stephen King novel or movie. If you're not a Stephen King fan, just type King in the chat there. If you're not familiar with Stephen King at all, he is a prolific author of horror, crime, suspense, science fiction novels, those types of things, and many of his novels have been made into movies, about 60 of them, in fact. And of those movies, all of those movies that have been made about his novels, Stephen King has only directed one of those movies. It's a movie called Maximum Overdrive. That's the only movie that Stephen King has directed. And as director, he chose his favorite rock band to produce the soundtrack for this movie. He enlisted AC/DC, who released an album soundtrack called Who Made Who for this movie. In 1986, when this movie and this soundtrack was released, I was in high school and I had a 1977 Camaro. It was dark blue, midnight metallic blue. It was so dark, the paint on it was so dark that if it was in the shade, it looked black. But if it was in the sun, the metallic would pick up and show all these blue colors. And it was really a cool looking vehicle. But in my Camaro, I had a, Pioneer radio with a cassette tape and all that, along with 6x9 speakers back in the back window. And I had this amp and equalizer in the console down below the radio. And then when I really wanted to get loud and do something, over in my glove box, I had another amp. One of my best friends, we'd be riding along, and when this song, Who Made Who, would come on the radio, he could pick it out in just the first couple of notes. And he would press the button on the console in my Camaro, and the door would pop open, and he would push the button to that second amp. And man, it would blow you out of the car. We had a big time until something stopped working. I could not figure out what was wrong with my radio. So I took it to a car audio specialist in Nashville at the time, and I left it with them. At lunchtime, during my lunch break, I called the car shop, and I said, "Hey, have you figured out what's wrong with my radio?" And the man on the other end of the car shop said, "Oh, yeah, I know. Did you know you've got another amp in the glove box of that car?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. When I really want to get loud, I press that button." He said, "You can't do that. You can't have these two amps feeding that radio. It just won't work. You can't do that." So we've taken that amp out. Now, I was disappointed, disheartened. Our days of really blowing out the speakers were gone, but the sound was much better. See, I knew how to take these components and piece them together and produce audio, and I could make it really loud, but I didn't really know how to make it sound real good. These audio specialists knew what needed to happen to make it sound just right. So our focus today is on audio-visual solutions, specifically Biamp's offerings. You know, as our workforce continues to remain distributed with people working from lots of different places, including home offices, corporate offices, and hybrids of both, it's important for us to create designed and engineered spaces to meet various needs for providing clear communications. And clear communications requires more than just higher volume, than just pushing a button on another amp, right? Biamp creates professional audio-visual solutions that enable great communications with immersive audio-visual experiences. They have solutions designed for every space, including meeting rooms of all sizes to help facilitate collaboration with coworkers in person and remotely. So Biamp solutions cover your needs from the smallest of rooms to really large venues. Here's where I'm going to hand it off to Jason, and he's going to tell you about their solutions and how they do this from these really small spaces to these large venues. Jason, take it over.
Well, thanks, Chuck. I appreciate it very much. I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Give everyone see what we're doing.
I've got you.
All right, thanks. Well, as Chuck said, my name is Jason Callahan. I'm the regional sales manager for Biamp in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Kansas, and Missouri. First of all, hey, thanks so much for your time. It's a pleasure to partner with Hiscall, and it's a pleasure to be with y'all today. I will tell you, I'm a little scared after looking at everyone's comments regarding their favorite Stephen King movie. There's some scary movies in there, so hopefully it's not a rough crowd here today. But we're going to talk a little bit about Biamp, the company. We're going to focus on our conference solutions today. Then we're going to talk just a little bit about some other things. As Chuck mentioned, if you do have questions, certainly feel free to put those in the chat. Also on the call with me is Biamp Field Sales Engineer Tim Koskamp. So Tim is joining from Minnesota. Tim is, whereas I function in sales, Tim is involved more on the technical side of things. So I like to refer to Tim as the big brains in Biamp, and sort of the MacGyver. When we start putting together systems and those kind of things, Tim has all the answers. So thanks for joining, Tim.
Oh gosh, Jason, you're just setting all the expectations. This is not good for me.
No pressure, Tim.
I'm glad to help.
Yeah, well, thanks. So today, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about Biamp. Who is Biamp? Biamp was founded over 40 years ago. We have a couple different HQs, but our main HQ is in Portland, Oregon. So they're in Portland. We employ over 600 employees. We have manufacturing centers there. So one of the big questions here during COVID is some of you may have experienced is acquiring gear. And Biamp has managed to navigate this situation very well. We do have gear. We have gear in stock, and we're shipping gear. So as you can see here in the picture, what Biamp has been known for primarily is great audio. Now we're getting into video as well. We have been in video for quite some time as well. We do have many video products, but we're really expanding on our AV at the time. So one of the things we're going to focus on here is conference rooms. People have a lot of questions about conference rooms. At the end of the day, what is the purpose for conferencing and collaboration? Very simple, to communicate. As a business, it's vitally important in today's society to be able to communicate. I'm sure you've experienced being in a conference room with bad video, bad audio. It puts a hamper on basically everything that's going on. Not only that, but from a business perspective, if your audio and video is not up to par, it's a reflection on your business as well. So if we take a look at conferencing, just to bring a little education in here today, we're looking at two conference spaces in this slide. On the left-hand side, you see a room, a rather large room surrounded by glass. And on the right-hand side, you see more of a smaller space. So what is the most important thing in a conference room when we discuss actually putting physical devices in a room? Well, the number one answer is going to be acoustics. That is, in my opinion, the most important thing. So I'm sure you've experienced a situation where you've been in a room, perhaps it was super reverberant, you couldn't understand communication and speech in the room. And I want to be the first person to tell you that Biamp devices, any device, is not going to cure audio acoustics, bad audio acoustics in a room. So great news. When you're working with Hiscall, they are well apt at acoustics. And so many times when we consider coming into a site visit, or Hiscall would visit you to do a site visit to look at your room, that's something they take in consideration, and it's very important. If I had $1, I've been doing this for a while, and if I had $1 for every time I walked into a conference room with glass surrounding it, imported marble tables from Italy, and the expectation is to have great sound in there, without acoustics, it can't happen. So that's number one. Very important. So when we think about putting together devices in the room to actually do collaboration and conversing, what do we have? Well, a lot of people very familiar with BYO device, and that's what a lot of us are doing here today. You have Teams on your computer, that's your device. You bring your device, you plug it into a display. You may have a digital signal processor there, and you have a meeting. So also within that room, you're going to have some type of microphone. So over here is our Parlay TCM microphones, some of our DeSono speakers. You're going to have speakers in the meeting, and in this case, an amplifier driving those speakers. So that's primary. It's not rocket science. That's primarily what consists of doing conferencing in a room. So what makes a great conference experience? Well, number one, just as I suggested earlier, technology. Once we get the space and the acoustics in the space squared away, technology is vital. And what separates Biamp from many other companies is our technology. What you're looking at here is our Parlay TCM X microphone. So as you'll see, there is a green ring around that microphone. Now, these microphones can go in the ceiling or on the table. And in the event, if you're having a meeting, and thank you, Tom, for bringing this up, but in a meeting, you have the option to mute. Well, without some kind of visual indicator, perhaps just a mute button, you really don't know if you're muted. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. But one of the technology aspects is we actually have an LED around our microphones. And on the table mic over here, you can actually tap that, and then it turns red for mute functions. So when this all got started, people would put microphones in conference rooms. So if you've dealt with a microphone at all, the job of a microphone is simply to amplify sound. And that's great. Once you get a room sounding great and you throw a couple of microphones in there, can you have a conference? Well, no, there's certainly a lot more into that. And that is the secret sauce, the digital signal processing, the technology in essence that makes that sound great. So if you think, I'd like to use food analogies, okay? So if you think about a biscuit with some butter on it, man, that's great, right? But how much better is it with maybe some jelly, maybe some apple butter or a little honey? Now we're getting somewhere. We've elevated the biscuit to something that's really special. So, and that's what we've done with our products. With our microphones, we have beam tracking technology. So what does that mean? In essence, if you think about a spotlight in a theater and a performer comes on and you take that spotlight and you point it on that person, that's in essence what beam tracking is. When people are speaking in a conference, our microphones are smart with AI technology. They actually find the people in the room talking. They take the remainder of the things in the room and remove those, and they focus on the person talking. So when we look at Parlay beam tracking technology, it's not just about controlling the microphone and the pattern. We actually track the talker. So within our microphones, it tracks horizontally and vertically. Let's take a look at this. As you can see here, on the left-hand side, we have some ceiling mics, and people are speaking, and our microphones, right, are right up in here. And then on the right-hand side, you have a microphone sitting on the table. So you can see the beam tracking in essence. We're highlighting that person, whether she's up, whether she's down in this instance, in tracking that technology. This is incredible technology, in fact, that many other people don't have, and one of the things that makes our mic sound so good. Let's talk about some more technology that Biamp has. Biamp Launch. Last year, I believe, we came out with Launch. And basically, in the past, you would go into a room, and we talked about reverb times and listening to the room and doing what we call commissioning, where we're actually taking physical measurements, and it's the science of sound in that room. Well, that has been done by people for a long time, and important in conference technology that people do that correctly, and that you have professionals do that. Last year, we came out with Launch, and so now with this technology, we can actually do those things with a press of the button. And the device, the smart technology, does that within the room itself. So what does that mean? Simply, with our Launch technology on our products, you press a button, it discovers all of the Biamp products in the room, it calculates the reverb measurement in the room, it EQs the room, and all of this is done in about 2 minutes. This is pretty groundbreaking technology that's out there today. Here is one of our Devio products. So this is the brain behind a conference room. And this is our little launch symbol over here. And you press the button. It, again, discovers all the devices, measures the room's acoustics, and then tunes and optimizes the room. So what does that mean? It means we don't have a person doing that. And our Launch technology does that. I have to be honest with you. I've been in audio video for a majority of my life, say probably about 34 years. I didn't know that the human element could actually be removed. And after our Launch technology came out, I was extremely surprised and happy because it is happening. So if you think about Terminator and you watch any Terminator movies, we're on this path, right? So automation. The other thing that Launch does is it creates a report card within the room. It'll tell you if the room sounds good, what the quality of the room is beforehand. Let me scoot back there for a second. And then it also, is on the right-hand side, it discovers all of the Biamp devices in the room, captures their serial number. Again, all this is done through technology and automation. The end result is great sounding room. We also, at Biamp.com, we put together a conference room designer. So you can actually, if you have the specs of your conference room, the height, the elevation, the size, the table, you can actually, if you log in to Biamp.com and create a login ID, you can actually go online, and we've actually made this simple within perhaps 3 to 5 minutes. You can actually design your room. And within that room, we have, of course, all of our Biamp products, our microphones, our speakers. And what you're seeing here is a heat map of that room. Specifically, you're looking at speaker coverage in that room, and it's showing you that everything in green, you're good to go. But then you start to get into colder areas in the blue, and there's not as much sound pressure level there. So again, it's a great tool, Biamp.com. One of the products I want to talk about recently is we've taken all this technology that we've used in rooms, and we have released the Parlay VBC 2500. So what you have here is the best of everything. All of the technology we've created is now in this soundbar. So for small to medium spaces, you're getting years and years of technology and research in a soundbar. As you can see right there, there's a camera, green lights for when it's on. And just to talk a little bit about the bar, the best sounding bar I've ever heard, without a doubt. Over 27 microphones are in this bar. That's right, 27 different microphones, not only capturing the horizontal plane, but the vertical plane. Our launch technology is included in this bar as well. So with one press of the button, you install the bar, you press launch, and within 2 minutes, not only is your room programmed and commissioned, it sounds great. 120 wide angle lens, premium optics, 4K camera, and again, launch presets. It's fantastic. We're currently doing demos on that right now as well. So to veer off, let's just talk a little bit about rooms. So I'm gonna move through this sort of quickly. You have generally 4 spaces in the conference collaboration experience: huddle space, small, medium, and large. So I'm going to show you just a few of our products and how they work. In a huddle space, you're looking at a BYOD device, your computer, and a display generally. We have a camera, Video 100, that works in that space. Also, we have a speaker bar that works in that space. With smaller rooms, again, generally you bring in your BYOD device, camera, speaker bar. Devio is one of our brains or our DSPs that is included in that, where you can bump up to a higher 4K camera. In our medium rooms, again, our Devio product is in there. That's the brain, generally a display, a camera. And also, you can also add our TCM mics, which we just talked about. And you may want to throw speakers there in the top as we're getting into larger rooms. Or you could consider a speaker bar. So here's just a few options. The VBC 2500 we just spoke about. There are some options with mounting, top. We also have a BYOD presentation device that could be in there. Again, this is all just dependent upon the needs of what you're going to need in your room. And that's going to be determined when you work with your Hiscall partners. So again, just a few other examples of products we have. When we look at a large space, that's really where Biamp exceeds. We've been doing large spaces for Fortune 500 and 100 companies for years now. And the reason they choose Biamp is because of our technology, our ease of use, and one secret sauce that we have, which is our AEC. That is acoustic echo cancellation. So if you've ever been in a meeting and you've heard all this echoing, that's a Biamp specialty that, in my opinion, no one else can match. So here we have one of our DSP processors. Again, usually there's a display. We may decide, depending on the size of that large room, to add some speakers in there, our parlay microphones, and you're good to go. Now, I also want to shift here from conference rooms and just talk about some other things that we do, and that's loudspeakers. So we purchased a company called Community in 2019. And so now we're offering a wide range of loudspeakers, everything from a pendant speaker, as you're seeing above, to a surface mount speaker, to a ceiling mount speaker, which you'll find in conference rooms. Now, when people think community, if you haven't already, this is generally what they're thinking about. Outdoor venues, football fields, softball fields, those type of things, racetracks. Community speakers have been in this market, I believe, since 1960, and we've been rocking racetracks and football fields and churches for a long time. Just on a side note, one thing that we do offer too is a warranty on all of our speakers, 15 years. 15 years, unheard of warranty for speakers in our industry. We have amplifiers as well that go with our speakers. Over 300 models of speakers, as you can see here. Basically a speaker for any application that you would need. We also have design services. So again, this is something that we're working to work with our integrators, to work with Hiscall. We offer design services as well. Now, Hiscall, I know Chris Murrell, again, another big brain. I believe Chris has a degree in audio, if I'm, and he can share that, but Chris and I have talked quite a bit, and he is, without a doubt, has a lot of game to bring here. So, but we do offer design services as well. So why choose Biamp? Number one, we have the best products in the world. Well, Jason, everybody says that. Well, it's no different than your grandma and your grandma's biscuits, right? Like, your grandma makes the best biscuits in the world. Nobody's going to tell you any different. And so that is where I stand. We absolutely have the best products in the world regarding any kind of conference environment, collaboration environment, football field. In my opinion, Biamp is the best. And I say that not with arrogance, but with pride in our products and our company. All of our products are designed and manufactured in the USA. That's important. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have 600 people in our Biamp Portland facility working. We have the manufacturing facilities there. So yes, we do buy components from overseas, but we have over 600 people there in our factory doing the work every day, putting those products together. We also have our community speaker factory in Waltham, Pennsylvania. And there are, I think, about 200 people that work there as well. So products designed, manufactured in the USA, Teams, Google, and Zoom certification. Listen, if you haven't heard of this, this is huge. When you get into conferencing today, for example, with Teams, which we're using today, Teams requires certification in products to be certified to use with their platform. Biamp has received certifications from Teams, Google, Zoom, and many others. So we are certified. 24-hour tech support. So if in the event something transpires, comes up, we have tech support right there in Portland. I think about 12 hours a day. And then it flips over to UK and Australia at night. Biamp only sells through our partners. This is great to know as well. Too, is actually when someone comes on to be a Biamp dealer, they have to be certified in Biamp. That means we actually give them tests, we train them on Biamp products. So when Hiscall comes out to work with you, you can be guaranteed that these are professionals that know their product. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, Biamp's motto, connecting people through extraordinary audio-visual experiences. We don't want it to just be good or great. We want it to be extraordinary. So again, feel free to join into biamp.com. You can find out more information on our website. And that is the end of my presentation for today. So again, I just personally want to thank everyone. I don't know if we're going to open it up for questions, but I'll hand it back over to you, Chuck.
All right. Thank you so much. I have been kind of watching chat for any questions. I don't think there's anything over there outstanding as it relates to questions, but if you do have a question that comes to mind, please feel free to type that in the chat on the Teams application. So that brings us to, so we talked about why Biamp. Jason, great job on the presentation and bringing drizzling that honey on the hot biscuit with butter, and that was a great visual. I like that. One of the things that I noted you said was it's not rocket science, but it's not just connecting components either. But you talked about some things where you guys have worked to simplify the design and the implementation of putting these things together, designing the right solution for the room that you have, all really good stuff. So with launch and your designer tools and of course the technical expertise of our folks. So that brings me, you got, Biamp's been in business for about 40 years. They got a few years on Hiscall. Hiscall's been in business for over 26 years. We've been partnering with market-leading vendors like Biamp to bring you the best of breed solutions that help make your business better. We exist to help you solve communications and technology problems. We talked about Biamp certification and training to be a partner with them. Our staff are continually training on the latest products from our vendors. And so with the right products and the training, we are your one-stop shop for turnkey technology solutions. We provide expert technical consultations and services for system design, implementation, ongoing training, and your support needs. Some of the best of breed solutions we provide, of course, audio visual, premise and cloud-based communication systems, security solutions, data networking, SIP trunking, along with our cable and infrastructure team. We've got many options for you to choose from to meet your business requirements for purchasing. We can do CapEx, OpEx, or managed service. And one of the things that we really like to do, let me get that out of there right there. I think that's showing on the screen to you. Sorry about that. We love to demo our products, and we would love to demo some Biamp products for you. If you would be interested in a demo, please follow up with your account consultant. You can see them on here today. Let them know you'd like to have a follow-up demo, or reach out to them directly outside of the webinar.
Hey, Chuck,
if you happen
Chuck,
to be,
interrupt you for a second, sir?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, you just brought up demo. How would everyone like to see a little bit of our demo today? We have a little bit of time, I think, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so we do have Tim on the call with our Parlay VBC 2500 bar. And so I'm going to ask Tim to jump in and just show you a little bit of our technology, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, just take over and share there.
Sure. And let me know, Jason, too, if there's some things we want to point out. But I thought what I'd do here, since my home office is isn't very deep, that's kind of why I moved out into this space and part of my dining room, just to get a little distance away from the bar in that regard. But just things that are running under the hood, like Jason had mentioned, there's the Biamp AI lingo that we're using. What does that audio intelligence mean? And this is where we're kind of a cooperative player, when it comes with Zoom and Teams. We've got the part we bring to the table. They've got the back end where that kind of glues all this together. So part of just a practical example of it was, right now, there are like 3 beams that are kind of searching through my room, right, just trying to find audio. And so typically you'll have one going right down the middle of the table, for someone who's at distance, and then there are 2 on the side. So it allows us basically to be tracking 3 people independently. So even if you have conversation bouncing through the room, back and forth with people, we've got beams that are following, each of those individual people. But on top of that, once we've kind of found the person and kind of zoom in on their voice, because really we're just, the idea is that we want to kind of get away from any distractions on the sides, meaning it could be reflections off the wall, the sound of the room, the ambulance going by, things like that. Well, we'll focus down as much as we can. But then once we get past that, this is kind of like where that whole AI lingo comes in, to where we're taking things like, I'll just say like a bag of potato or pretzels here. You know, using that kind of a noise that our system goes, well, that's not speech, so I'm not going to pass it. You know, or just like if I'm, you know, clapping hands, I mean, I'm doing a slow clap for myself, but you know, that ideally that's not going your direction. So that's kind of the point with that. And even a little more practical, you know, just be like, you know, I'm dealing with like the shuffling of paper, you know, or if I have a little chat here. All right, Jason, I'm going to throw some keystrokes your way. You know, but as I'm just standing here and I'm purposely be loud and kind of banging on my keyboard. But that's the kind of thing we don't want, you know, getting sent to the far end. So it's just another way we're kind of adding a layer of performance on top. You know, technology can't solve every problem. It is not necessarily the perfect answer. And that's where this whole discussion about, you know, room acoustics, you know, what are we doing with that? Well, just like in, you know, it's even like in the video world, you know, like if this is where I was going to be presenting from, is this the image that I want to be showing the world? Well, it's probably not the best idea for my patio door to be right here coming in with light. If you think about a TV studio, they very much tailor the lighting to do the most excellent job they can in presenting the visual, right? So just be thinking about all those different pieces that kind of combine for success. You know, what is my room doing for me, both acoustically and here kind of visually? You know, maybe sunlight coming in my door here is not a great idea for this being a conference space. Well, yeah, it's my dining room, that sort of thing. But what can we do with technology to enhance it? And that's kind of where this little, you know, our audio portion here, you know, is you know, taking things like the one I hear that people really seem to really enjoy is, especially if you're in a high-rise building, all the sounds of the street are just kind of part of the building. You know, windows will help kind of knock that down, but I've got typically like sirens and that sort of thing going on. Well, the local people in the room obviously are going to hear it, right? Because we're hearing it come through glass, but there's no reason why I need to get that out into the crowd. And that's just another thing where our system will see that it's not speech. And now only the speech portion passes. So that's kind of just a very quick version of the audio side. Video side, I've got this set to a fixed shot right now. And actually, Jason, I'll just do this since we're here. I'll open up our little camera controller tool. And this tool it's up and going. We have it, you know, it's published. I think I just want to make a point to say, if you're not already hearing it, you'll be hearing about how Zoom and Teams are going to take more control of cameras. Like you go into the Teams app or the Zoom app. So my guess is that over the next year or two, we're going to start seeing these apps take a more direct control of our camera. But in the meantime, you know, that's why we come up with tools like this. So I've just got this one, you know, preset, you know, just kind of framing me up. And I can certainly, you know, take some manual control of it, you know, like zooming way in, zooming way out. Of course, you know, your typical pan tilt zoom. But then there's also auto frame. And so as this starts to find me within the space, then it will zoom in to frame on where it found people. So this is where the camera has decided to frame my shot. If it gets a little more confident in it, it'll zoom a little further. If I could somehow pluck Jason out of thin air and get him to sit right next to me, well, then it would zoom over and it would take, you know, the left side of my room. So it's always looking for features, facial features to do that framing. So that's why we call it group framing. I think I saw a question in the chat. What's the current distance from the bar? I'm currently, I think, about 7-8 foot from it right now. So it's just basically to the end of my table and then just a little bit further. A kind of a takeaway number. And Jason, if you got some thoughts on this, feel free to share. But I'm in kind of real world examples. I'm seeing, you know, from the front of the bar, reaching out about 22 feet is probably our recommended distance. If we get much past that, it isn't like the audio is just going to fall apart, but we're going to start hearing a little bit more of the room. Take it to an extreme. I was doing testing at like 24 to 32 feet, but it kind of comes back again to what are those room acoustics? We're going to do the best job we can to clean up the audio, but if I've got a room where someone's going to be seated 24, 26 foot away, a bar probably isn't the solution. And that's why when Jason was kind of talking about parlay microphones at scale, Well, it's probably going to be a ceiling type solution, right, for aesthetics. But let's put a microphone halfway back in the room. Now we got that microphone that much closer to the person again. So, as we kind of, look at all these, unique spaces we have, we start to kind of see themes, but then we also want to be able to tailor, to some very, unique situations. So I'll kind of stop there, Jason, but there's just kind of some of the thoughts I've had on bars and distances and, where's a bar fit and where do we go to our, more scalable technologies where it's multiple microphones, things like that.
That was great. Hey, that was so great. Can you just do me a favor once again and give yourself a hand? Thanks.
Yeah, you love that one.
I do. So just as Tim mentioned, this is part of all the technology that we employ. So thanks for your time. Thanks, Chuck. I'll give it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. That noise reduction feature is impressive, and certainly that's the kind of technology that we need today as we continue working the way we do. How many times over the past couple of years have you heard somebody on a conference call with the dogs barking in the background or something going on outside with a mower or trimmer or something like that? And to be able to cut that out and cut down the distractions is hugely important. So great job. That's really good. All right. So we've come to the end here. I will say, Jason, there was a couple of times Keith and Terrence asked about your mic, the mic you're using. Were you using one of your mics, or were you using just the mic there on your computer or something?
Today I am not using one of our Parlay mics. I'm just using my computer mic as I'm in a portable situation here today. However, Tim was using the Parlay that's built into the bar.
Yep. All right. Excellent. Thank you for that. I believe that addresses everything that was still out there. So time for the giveaways. We have 3 chances for you to win today, and we'll get that rolling.
Jason, you didn't tell me about this part. That's pretty cool.
All right. Congratulations. Our first winner is Terry. We'll be getting in touch with you for your gift. All right. Looks like it's going to be Angela on our next giveaway. Congratulations, Angela.
All right, Angie.
We'll be reaching out to you on that. Way to go. And then our final winner for today. Uh-oh. It's going to be Mark. Yeah, it looks like Mark. Congratulations, Mark, on being a winner today. All right. Congratulations again to our winners. Everybody, be looking for your gift basket. I want to thank our sponsors and our host from Biamp today. Thank you so much. Thank you to our Hiscall team and staff for jumping on and supporting us here. But most importantly, want to thank you guys for attending, our guests and prospects, customers. Thank you so much for taking the time to join with us. And we hope it's been informative for you and we've met our goals here. So if you have any follow-up, please reach out to your account team and or give us a call at Hiscall and we'll get you in touch with the right person. So thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.